Hello, welcome back. This is part 2 from the last episode. We have our special guest back with us today, Nicole.
Hey guys.
Thank you for joining me again.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
There's a few more questions that I have for you that we didn't touch on in the last episode, so I would love to go over those with you. So why don't we jump right in with the first question here? How did you cope after Ian's undoing?
Well, let's just say for the first little while, I didn't cope. I literally went from a 21-year-old turning 22-year-old to feeling like I was a 10-year-old trapped in that body. I didn't know how to take care of myself. I didn't know how to clean up after myself, how to feed myself. All I could do was get up, go to work, and come home, and that's all the energy that I had. And it took me a long time to feel my feelings, and it started with shock, of course, of what had happened, but then it changed to anger pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. And I was angry at Ian a lot. I was angry at how he could choose to end his life and not really reach out to anyone, especially because people really did love and care about him. And it took me a long time to process that. And I think once I kind of processed the anger and moved to the next stage of grief is when I really started to cope. And that's when I just started connecting with you, I would say. Spending time outside. That was huge for me because I always feel grounded when I spend time outside. So you and I, we would go for walks. I had friends that I go for walks with and confide in, and just I had to learn to process my feelings, I would say.
Yeah. And I had not gone through loss of my mother at this point either. That hadn't come yet.
No.
At this point.
She was sick, yeah, but it had not come yet.
Yeah. So I didn't even have a true understanding. Like, I've lost my grandmother, who was really important to me, and I had lost an uncle to an undoing as well, but I hadn't really fully felt loss at that point, like Nicole was. But her emotions and her, I don't even, like, her spirituality, I guess, is what really brought us together. Yeah. Because we understood each other.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you helped me look at things from a different light, right? Because you, even though you hadn't experienced the loss of someone that you don't want to say, of course, you loved your grandma, but someone who was so genuinely close to you, like your mother.
Yeah.
But, like, you were still starting to open yourself up to that side because you knew it was coming, if that made sense. Yeah. Because your mom was sick at that time, and you were trying to prepare yourself in advance to the loss that you knew you were going to eventually have. So I think that's kind of what brought us both together.
Yeah. And that will be a whole nother episode. Because we could talk about that, because you have been absolutely amazing through the entire journey with my mom.
But, like, don't get me wrong, like, this, like, the loss of Ian, it was so hard, and it was so hard to talk to people about, and it was so hard to carry with me every day, and just have people not understand, like, look, like, this is something that, like, I never could have expected or never could have, like, dreamed. It was literally my worst nightmare, and then you have to go and carry that every day and just act like everything's okay because life goes on, right? Like it has to. So it took me a long time to even come to terms with being okay. I would say, like, 8 years out of the 10, I was suffering mentally and emotionally with the loss. So I just want people to take that into consideration. As much as it feels like I've got a grip on it now, as much as it might sound like it took me a very long time to get there, and everyone has their own timeline with grief.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
Don't feel guilty for where you're at with your grief.
Exactly.
Like, you need to feel it out, and other people's, if you're feeling that you're being judged by other people, just, you gotta block that out, because it's your feelings, and you are the only one who will understand and feel out what you need to feel out. So
Exactly.
do what you got to do.
And as I said, everyone has
In
their
moral
own timeline, so
standards.
you can't let other people tell you should be at this stage with your grief by now. You should be at that stage with your grief by now. It's no, everyone processes grief in their own way, in a different way, depending on what their relationship was or wasn't, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and that brings me into this next question relating to triggers, because it could be 15 years. There's always going to be that one thing that kind of sets you off in some way. So, are there any triggers that bring you back to that moment?
At first, yes, there were a few triggers. We live in an area where there aren't a lot of high-rise buildings, so at first when I would drive to the larger cities and see high-rise buildings, because he did jump from a 20-story building, that was really hard to see and focus on just the height of it, more or less, being like, wow, that's a huge distance, you know, and but I learned to just get over that, and, you know, it's life. I have to see these things every day. But I would say the one thing that's really stuck with me over the years is when my phone rings, and then it rings again right after. Because that's kind of what started the whole thing, I would say. That started the worst day of my life. Yeah. So I would say when, like the phone rings and then someone calls immediately after, I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Who passed away? What's going on? You know, and that's where my mind goes first. So
Yeah, that's fair.
yeah.
Do you have any advice for anyone who might be going through something similar?
I just want to shout out to any male listeners, if there are male listeners out there. Don't be scared to talk about your feelings. Don't feel like you have to put up a front just because you're a male. Your feelings are valid, and there are people that care about you, and they want to listen to your feelings. And it doesn't make you less of a man to talk and to show your feelings. For anyone who's struggling with the loss of someone to suicide, my mom said this yesterday, it doesn't matter how much time goes on. If you truly love the person, no matter what, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt every day that they're gone. You just find a way to start to find joy, and you just learn to be grateful that you had them in your life when they were here.
What is it they say? Grief is love with no place to go.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what the quote is.
Something along those lines, right? So it's just more or less, it's like, feel your feelings. You gotta feel it to heal it, and that hole's never gonna be filled, but you'll learn to look back at pictures of them and smile at them instead of feeling sad. And just give yourself time.
Yeah. So, what's one of your favorite things about Ian?
Obviously, anyone could say this who knew him, was his smile. But honestly, my favorite thing about Ian was his smart-ass attitude. Him and I had a relationship where we would just pick on each other, and like in a sibling kind of way, right? So I would give him a smart-ass comment, and he was always quicker than me, though. He would always snap back 10 times quicker with something 10 times better, and it was...
Intelligent folk.
He was very intelligent, and, like, just his sense of humor, I would say. He brought so much light to any place that he was, and he spread that light to everyone, and I truly believe that he's doing that wherever he is now. He's bringing the light and spreading it to hopefully me wherever he is, and everyone on this plane who loves him. And, you know, I know that it might be hard for some people who aren't spiritual to be going through this type of loss, but just have faith in yourself that you'll get through it.
Yeah. Faith is everything anymore.
Yeah.
Are there any messages that you have for Ian?
Well, I miss him. I love him, but he already knows that. And mostly it would be that I wish I could see him grow, because it's been 10 years and he would be 28 now, and I still imagine him as an 18-year-old kid, so yeah, I wish I could see who he would grow into and what his life would have been. But I know that I'll see him again, and I look forward to the day where I can see him again.
Yeah.
But yeah, before we end off, I do want to say something, and it's how the power of opening up can really help someone without you even knowing it. And I'm just going back to a story about how basically a year before we lost Ian to suicide, he had gone to work and he had the plans already for that night to end his life. And he had ended up speaking to someone at work and having some conversation about basically life and this and that. I don't really know what the conversation was about, but whatever that conversation was, it gave us another year with Ian. And I'm forever grateful for that. And I just want people to realize that when you do just share your own experiences and your own story, it really can make an impact on someone's life. And be vulnerable, as Shelby said, I think, in the last podcast.
Yeah, communicate. People are listening. Sometimes it doesn't feel like they are, but a lot of that is because sometimes what you're going through, people don't fully understand. But the more that you're honest and the more that you communicate, it gives people the ability to understand, because they can't read your mind. We all think that we're designed that way, that other people should just know what we're thinking, but in reality, we all know it doesn't work that way. So you got to talk. You got to tell people what's going on. And they can do what they want with that. You can't control the outcome, but as long as you're able to express yourself, that's the most important piece.
Absolutely.
It's just crazy how it feels like time stands still when somebody passes away, because their life ended at that moment. They were 52 or they were 18. It's like they don't move past that. But I think it's up to us to not allow time to just stop there and keep memories going.
Absolutely.
Right? Make moments for them. Celebrate their birthday still. Save a seat for them at Christmas, even though they're not there. Like, you got to do your things to still honor their soul in a sense, even though physically they're no longer present.
Definitely.
Doesn't make you crazy. It's just you're honoring them still. Like, you can't just, you can accept the fact that they're not here, but you can still honor the fact that they were, right?
And it's a place for your love and your grief to go, right?
Exactly. Have their favorite dessert,
Absolutely.
Make their famous stuffing recipe for Christmas. Like, there's so many ways to honor them. And that's love, right? Well, I think that's all we have for now. Unless there's anything else that you'd like to say, Nicole.
Well, I would just like to thank you for having me on and allowing me to share this story with you and with anyone who's listening. Stay strong, and you'll get through it.
Yeah. Reach out. Seriously. Reach out to people. And to anyone who is or knows someone struggling, like we said at the end of the last podcast, show up. Your presence alone can make a difference. Nicole, stop laughing at me. Anyways, communicate, be vulnerable. Together we can get through anything. For real. So Nicole, thank you so much for coming on again and sharing the rest of your story. I know that it can be really difficult opening up those boxes and re-experiencing those emotions. So thank you.
Of
Seriously.
course. Yeah, it definitely makes me feel a little in the heart, pulls on the heartstrings a little bit. But as you said, grief is a sign of love. And sometimes the more you grieve someone, it doesn't mean you love them more than anyone else, but it's just a sign of your connection with them, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just, as I said, thankful to have known him and to have known him for the 18 years that I did. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, and I really hope that Nicole's story is able to help people out there, because this stuff happens and sometimes it's really hard to figure out where to go next. But when you share your stories, it does make a big difference. Well, that's all we have for today. So, until next time, thank you for joining.